Well, nobody's going to believe it, but we're laughing about a flag. So, anyways, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts, episode number 94. Today is the 24th of August. We got everybody here, so let's say hello. Chris, how's it going, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
Hey, can't complain. It's good to be back. Hernan, how are you doing?
Hey guys, hey everyone. It's really good to be here.
Good deal. Marco, what's up with the weather today?
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's been beautiful all day. Couldn't be better. Wish you
Nice.
guys were here.
Yeah, no kidding. Last but not least, Bradley, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I don't have my curtain up because it's too damn hot here. So. You
Yeah, I
guys
think
get-
we got about the same weather. You're probably a couple degrees warmer though. So.
Yeah, it's too hot for that, man. Last week I tried to do it with the curtain up, and by the end of the webinar, man, I was like sitting in a puddle, and I was like, ugh, I'm not doing that again. So,
Good deal. Well, we don't got a whole lot of announcements today for everybody, so we're just going to roll through this. If you got the Hump Day Hangouts announcement email, you know that we've got via Mastery PR a pretty cool launch coming out next week. So Content Kingpin, we'll be sending out some more information about that. If you're involved with content, which as an SEO, a marketer, a freelancer, agency owner, you definitely are. This is something you want to keep your eye out for.
if you're on the web, you're dealing with content.
Yep. Yep. And if you want to speed it up, if you want to save money, if you want to, free up your time to work on your business, then this is definitely something you want to be checking out. Also, we wanted to mention we got a lot of responses about the, I guess, announcement of Google Hangouts and how they're changing that. And while we appreciate everybody's responses, I would ask if you want to post in our groups, that's fine. Please don't message Bradley privately because when 200 people do that, that gets kind of tough. But like I said, we do appreciate when people send us stuff. But by all means, share it on our page, do something like that. So Bradley, if you want to just mention to people what the deal is with that and how we're not going down in flames anytime soon.
The deal is Google Hangouts, being able to initiate a Hangout on air from Google is being stopped. It's not going to be available to do that anymore. And I've gotten dozens and dozens of private messages from all our little helper bees out there that wanted to relay the message to me as if I didn't already know. So we do appreciate it, but use the public groups to do that, guys, because it does become quite a bit annoying when I get 150 PMs from people saying, "Did you know?" No, I hadn't heard before, but thanks. That said, we always initiate everything through YouTube anyways, guys. We always have, ever since day one. So it shouldn't affect us at all. Until it actually rolls out, we won't be 100% sure, but it should not affect us at all. Google Events, Google Plus is not going anywhere. And you guys all just come to the event page. Everything that we set up on our end for the webinars is done through YouTube, so it shouldn't affect us at all. But just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up. And we are aware of it, so please don't PM me. But other than that, yeah, we're good to go.
All right, sounds good. Anybody else have anything we need to talk about?
I think we're good.
All right, let's get rolling.
All right, cool. We got questions, so let me grab the screen. Oops, wrong button. Grab the whole screen and lock it. You guys confirm that we are good to go.
Looking good. Got your whole screen.
I really like the GIF that you put in there, Adam.
Thank you. I found out, so Slack has a bot for anybody out there who's using Slack, and you just give it a keyword and it randomly pulls one in, so you never know what you're going to get.
So you put like a boss in there, and that's what it did?
Yeah, watch this. I'll do this again live
Nice.
because this is what people really want to see on Hump Day Hangouts.
That's nice.
Here we go.
Hey,
There we go. There's number 2.
Can't be all business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I kind of like the dancing dickhead better, this one. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. Mark O'Connell's got the first question. Hi, guys. Hope you're well. Got a question for you, Bradley. All right. I know you mentioned in the V2 training about selling networks to local business owners, but how do you sell them on the benefits, and how were you prospecting when you were selling multiple networks a month? I know that might be too in-depth to answer here, but I can build networks pretty damn fast now. Well, that's sweet, Mark. And would like to be able to build up some cash by selling some networks. So any advice on prospecting and selling the benefits would be much appreciated. Thanks. That's actually a really good question, Mark. We have I thought I had training in the V2 course about reselling networks. If not, I know that we did it in the monetization webinar, which was the bonus webinar after the launch was over. So you might want to go back and review that because we talk about monetizing it in there in depth, but we can cover it briefly here as well. When I was selling a lot of networks, it was basically because, well, first of all, I had a pretty big client base. So when I started selling networks, I was able to just basically what I call shake the bushes, and that's just go hit my existing contact base or my client base and upsell them on additional services. And that was pretty simple. But then whenever I go to prospect or pitch for any new clients, which I do very little of now, if at all, but when I was pitching or prospecting clients, then I would, it's just part of an overall SEO strategy. So when I would, it wasn't necessarily that I was just selling them a network, and that was it. It was an overall strategy for marketing services, right? Which would include SEO, local SEO if they were a local business, and then content marketing. And it's all one and the same. When I provide marketing services, it's not just SEO on page or off page. Very, very rarely did I ever have any clients where I was just providing like link building services, for example. Most of the time it was an all-encompassing overall marketing strategy, which included on-page SEO, social media, content marketing, off-page SEO, so link building, that kind of thing. But all of that was pretty much accomplished through the IFTTT networks and content marketing. Right, and so that's pretty much the foundation that all of my SEO services were built upon, and that's how I've been doing it for years. But as far as selling on the benefits, what I would do is I would ask questions of prospects. And by the way, in case you guys aren't aware of that, that's the best way to pitch clients, is to ask them questions about their marketing strategy, because then you allow them to speak and uncover their weaknesses for you. And then you can craft your message based around their responses, and you can actually lead them into they come to the realization that their marketing sucks on their own without you having to point that out, because you just get them talking about their marketing strategy. So one of the things that I would do often was I would ask, Mr. Business Owner, are you doing any social media marketing? And invariably, or 90% of the time, the answers were either no, or yeah, we post on our Facebook page occasionally, but it's never done anything for us. And that's it. and those are pretty much the two standard responses that I would get, was either no, we don't do any social media marketing, or yes, I did this or that and it didn't work, so I stopped. And so I would explain to them that part of the reason, hey, look, I completely understand, if you only post on your Facebook page once every now and then, or send a tweet out every now and then, you can't really expect to get any results. And I understand, because you're running your business, that you don't have time to manage all these social media profiles and properties. However, you would agree that if you were to have consistency in your social media marketing, you'd probably see some fairly good results. Am I right? Yes. Okay, well, what were you doing whenever you tried to do any social media marketing? Tell me about what your strategy was, and then I let them talk a little bit, so I get to hear about how bad it was. And then I would use some of their answers, or some of their answer, in part of what I would say about, okay, well, this is what we can do, and would you agree? You always want to ask leading questions where you can get that yes. You want to keep getting a yes answer out of your clients, right, or out of your prospects, because that puts them in that positive frame of mind where they're more likely to say yes later on to your proposal. Okay, but again, ask a lot of questions, and then what I would do is I would explain to them that if we had a way where we could just focus on updating content in one location, which would be their main website or their blog, but you don't say blog to a prospect because they don't understand what that means most of the time. We just say, if we were to update content in just one location on a regular basis, your website, and then have that content automatically distribute across all of your social media profiles, plus, all the main social media platforms, and I would list them off: Google+, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube if you're using video, Pinterest if you wanted to. I would start naming off the main ones that they would know about, and then I would say, plus, in addition to that, about 15 other sites, social media and Web 2.0 type platforms, and I would say other sites on the web where we could republish your content all from one location. You only have to manage one location. Don't you think that would be a lot easier to manage? Well, yeah, of course it would, right? And they would say, yeah, well, yeah, of course it would. All right, well then here, let me show you what this is a service that I can provide, and let me show you how it works. And I would show them a graphic, the same graphic that you guys have access to, which would just show that wheel, essentially, that network ring. And I would say, look, this is the center point here. This is your website. All we need to do is make sure that I have this system or the structure set up properly. Everything's going to be branded. It's going to have a consistent theme. The graphics are going to be consistent across all of them, so it'll be your branding, your logo, all that. And then all we need to do is update content from your website, right? Publish content regularly and consistently to your website, and that's going to automatically update all of these properties, which is going to help help with your SEO. In other words, it's going to help you to rank better in Google, and it's also going to help to generate additional traffic outside of Google, because on all of those platforms there's traffic as well. And that's how I would always frame it. I wouldn't frame it as like the geeky, like, trust me guys, I'm 100% guilty of using SEO terminology with prospects, and that's the quickest way to lose a prospect, is to start using our industry terms with them.
No techno babble. Yeah, no techno babble. Tell them the results and then walk them through what's going to happen. Get them thinking about what they're going to have at the end of all of this.
You want to simplify it, boil it, dumb it down, so to speak, for the clients. You don't want to use the techno babble, as Adam just said. You want to really, like I said, the way that I had really good success with always asking a lot of questions, asking leading questions to where I'd get them to agree and say yes, yes, yes multiple times, and then I would use some of their responses to the questions that I asked in how I would frame my proposal. And then, I mean, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I probably sold, I would say, an 80% close ratio on, I don't have exact figures, but I would say probably 8 out of 10 people that I would pitch a network to, I'd be able to sell them on it. Even clients that I didn't have ongoing SEO services with, I could still sell IFTTT networks to if they were doing some sort of content, regular publishing on their blog, even irregular. For example, I have an eye doctor client. She's one of the most low maintenance clients I've ever had. I've had her for five years now, or 4 years. Well, 4 years, because since I opened my age, she's one of my first clients. I still do SEO services for her. You guys would puke if you found out how little I charge her per month, but she was one of my first clients, and she's just been grandfathered into that price ever since. But she does a blog post about once per quarter. Once per quarter year, guys. That's like once every 3 months she'll do a blog post. But that was enough for me to be able to sell her on an IFTTT network. Even though I don't do any content marketing for her, all I do is maintain her maps position, and that's it. But because she posted once every quarter or so about 3 or 4 posts per year is really what she does, I told her, hey, you would benefit from having this network, and I explained it to her, and then she purchased it, and I was able to make $700 or $800 or whatever it was that I charged her. Actually, at the time for her it was probably a lot less, but to charge her for that network, and now every time she does a post, it syndicates out across her network. There's not near as much activity as she should have, but I was still able to sell her on that network. So hopefully that was helpful. But Adam, you'd know. What's the name of that? Is it Ask? The name of the question or the book?
Yeah, it's by Ryan Levesque. If I messed up his name, I'm sorry, but it's Ask. Yes, you can. Yeah. That's a great
book. There's another one. Shit, I can't remember the name of it now. If I can think about it, there's another book that I read that was similar to that one, and that's the one that taught me how to ask questions the correct way when prospecting. It's kind of a sales type book, but if I can remember it after the webinar, guys, I'll come back and post it on this page, a link to that book, because it was a really, really good book. All right. Next one is Greg. He says, how deep can I set up my RSS, not video networks? Tier 3, Tier 4. My Tier 2 is well-themed and all running independent RSS feeds, slow drip, or would it be better... or would it be better just to juice the Tier 2 networks? Also about interlinking between networks if they are the same people, where person would be on separate Tier 2 network and the company on Tier 1. Muchas Gracias. I don't understand the second part of the question about interlinking. The same people where person would be on separate Tier 2 network and company. I don't really follow that one. But as far as how far out can you go go out as far as you want with the automated networks, guys. You can do that, although I don't recommend that for websites. For YouTube, fine. But I really don't recommend doing that for websites, guys. As I've said 1,000 times, and this will be 1,001, I really recommend that you only do a tier 1 network for your websites. I mean, you can, as long, look, Greg, if you're doing everything like you just mentioned, you've got well themed and running independent RSS feeds, then that's great. That's perfect. I still wouldn't go beyond tier 2 though, myself personally, because it's just so complicated if you start going out to tier 3 and tier 4, and there's so many different parts that can break down that the maintenance required to keep that running smoothly, to me, is just there's a what do they call it? The law of diminishing returns, right? At some point, it's going to be too cumbersome to maintain. In fact, I think tier 2 networks are too cumbersome to maintain for blog syndication. For YouTube, it's a no-brainer because it doesn't require any maintenance. But for blog syndication, it does, because you always got to be monitoring feeds and things like that. I mean, you can use SerpSpace, our network monitor, to help ease that pain a bit, but it's still going to be a bit cumbersome to monitor all that stuff. Anytime anybody else's feed goes down, now you've lost a content source. You got to go in and update your networks and all that kind of stuff. It's just, to me, it's not worth it. If you're only doing 1 or 2 or a handful of sites, guys, then by all means do it. But when you start managing multiple sites, guys, it becomes just too much of a pain in the ass. In my opinion, I'd rather just stick with a tier 1 network and just really build that up, and I get just as good a results out of that, really. So. But yeah, Greg, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you can go out, as long as you're setting it up correctly the way that we suggest, and you're minimizing your footprint. You can't eliminate it, but you can minimize it. Then you can go out as far as you want. But I really don't. I think your time is better spent somewhere else, though, really. So, and as far as the interlinking, if you're on the webinar now, Greg, if you want to post a little bit more clarification about the second part, I'd be happy to answer that. I'm not real clear on what you're asking here. Nate's next. Hey, Nate. He usually says, "Hey, Nate here." So, Nate says, when poking, what is the going rate for the client for a page 1 Google keyword that you find? How do you protect it from someone else just coming in and using it? Well, okay, the going rate, it depends. Every keyword's going to be different, guys. At least that's the way I do it. Like, I've mentioned this before, and I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, but when I do wholesale SEO services to video production companies, my typical rate is $100 per month per video. That's it, or $100 per month per keyword, really. And that's very, very low. But I don't have to do any of the sales. I don't have to do any of the client, any dealing. I don't have to deal with the client at all. The video production company handles all of that. They just send me the work order. I do the work. I get paid. That's it. And so, to me, $100 a month per keyword is perfect, because it's like hands-free for me. All I got to do is maintain my networks and do the SEO work. I'm the man behind the curtain, and pay no attention to me type thing, right? But as far as but it varies. If it's going to be something really competitive, you're going to want to charge a lot more. If it's something dead simple to rank, then you don't have to charge very much. In fact, if I'm doing a foot in the door strategy with video SEO, which is typically what I use video SEO for, guys, is a foot in the door strategy. It's not, video SEO is not my main revenue generating activity. It's not my main service, right? I love to use video SEO as a foot in the door because I can get results fairly quickly, and I can prove that I know what I'm doing to a prospect, and then from that point I can upsell them on map services or organic services or now pay-per-click services, because I'm doing that now, right? So I can upsell them on website redesign. I can upsell them on IFTTT networks and content marketing services. But when it comes to just video SEO, if I'm going to, like, if I go to a client, or if, like, for example, the video production company comes to me and says, "Hey, look, we got a client here that they're interested in these 5 keywords instead of just 1. What can you do for me?" What I'll do is I'll go poke I'll poke those 5 keywords plus a whole bunch of others that I've once I do my keyword research and I figure out what other potential keywords there are that could be beneficial to their business. I'll go poke all those keywords. The ones that rise to the top or rise the highest are the ones that I'll go back to the client and say, "Okay, look, here's the deal." Especially if a lot of them are easy. Like if I test 10 keywords and they want 5 keywords, and I can get 3 keywords to page 1 with no SEO work because I'm just poking it and I can test it, and I test them and I know that I can get them to page 1 without even doing any SEO work, then all I'm doing is working on 2 keywords maybe that are going to require a little bit of SEO work, right? And so I might give them a deal and say, it's not going to be $500 for 5 videos for the month, I might do a deal and say, okay, you know what? I'll give you 5 videos at $80 a month per video, so it'll be $400 a month. And what's interesting then is I'm really only working on 2 videos anyways, and I'm getting $400 a month because the other 3 I've already proved by poking that I can rank those with no work. So my point is I end up actually making more money by offering a package deal with more keywords, but many of those keywords don't require any work. So I end up getting more money on a volume basis. I get less money per video, but more money because of the volume. But then I'm doing less work because I'm only working on, you know, a couple of the keywords. So that's just something like typically I'll do. For example, I've one of the more recent jobs that I did for that company was for 5 videos, and I charged the guy $450 a month for 5 videos. But what I ended up doing was I poked like 34 keywords, and I ended up ranking 14 keywords, 14 videos for him, and I charged him $450 a month. Well, I wasn't going to go in and take all those other videos down. They were already up and generating traffic, so all I did was way over-delivered. When I sent him the report, I said, you guys paid for 5, here's 14. How you like me now? You know what I mean? And I've had that, you know, that client's been paying me for like 14 months. So, you know, for various SEO, video SEO services, and now we're probably going to end up doing some AdWords for video campaigns for him as well, which is great. But my point is, you know, that's kind of the beauty about poking, Nate, is that when you get a client and you have, or a prospect even, and you can rank multiple keywords for them and then go back to them, and it doesn't require any work, why not give that to them or charge them you know, less money per video and do it as a package where you end up generating more revenue? My point is it's really simple to do that, and you end up over-delivering, and you really wow the customer at that point. And that's when it opens up the door for other services that can be even more lucrative, like maps ranking or PPC management or whatever. All right? When you say how do you protect it from someone else just coming in and using it, I don't know what you mean with that, because if it's on your channel, nobody else can come in and take over your video. If you're worried about somebody else seeing that you ranked a video and then reverse engineering it and seeing that you did absolutely 0 SEO work and were able to rank it, and so they want to come rank against it, well, that's the nature of SEO. It's competitive. And so you've just got to be a little bit better than your competitor to beat them out. And you're here on these webinars every week, Nate, so trust me, you're better than your competitor. Can I get a +1 from you guys on that?
Oh, yeah.
Dan says, if I'm setting up a website for a local business along with a Tier 1 IFTTT network and in 301 redirecting to the customer website for my WordPress property, how important is it to fully optimize the customer's Joomla website? Will it rank solely by redirecting my site's page to it, or is it still critical to fully optimize the Joomla site? Dan, you have to optimize the Joomla site. You can't take a web page that is way over optimized or not optimized at all and just point a well optimized page to it with a 301 redirect and expect that page to rank. Because remember, the 301 redirect essentially removes the content from that 301 redirect. And the content's still there, but Google doesn't read the content on that page because it sees the redirect and immediately redirects to the final destination, the target URL. So it doesn't even consider the content on the 301 redirect page. So you have to optimize the destination, the final target URL. That has to be optimized correctly, or else you won't get any results, or you'll get poor results for that matter. Okay, so you still have to optimize the Joomla site regardless. In fact, your 301 site, guys, you could take if you wanted to, you could take your client site and just set up your own domain and just do straight 301 redirects with 0 content or anything and just do all your link building to your own domain. You can do that. The reason why, what I typically do is I will optimize the client site and then make a clone of it. In this case, since it's a Joomla site, I've never worked with Joomla, so I don't know if you could just clone Joomla and then turn it into a WordPress site. You might have to do some manual work to make that happen, but what I would do is optimize the client site, the Joomla site, then I would create my own WordPress site with the same content and everything that's on the client site, and then 301 on a page-by-page basis from my domain to the client site, build all my links, not citation links, guys. Citation links are going to have to go direct to the client site, But any off-page link building I'm doing, like PBNs or you know, anything that I'm doing outside of you know, content syndication via IFTTT networks and citations and press releases, where you're going to want to have the client's domain obviously in the press release, I would be building links to my own domain, which is then 301 redirected. The reason why I like to do that, guys, is make a clone of the site first before doing the 301 redirect, is so that in case the client and I end up parting ways, when I remove the 301 redirects, I have an exact clone of that site, and all I would do was swap out the critical details, excuse me, like the company name and the company logo and stuff like that. And so typically what and you know, I'll change some of the wording on the pages and stuff so that it's not a 100% duplicate page. You know, it'll be shifted up and changed it up a little bit, but the bulk of the work is done because you already did that when you optimized the client site. So like if I get a new client, guys, and that's what I'm going to do is build them like a brand new WordPress site, then I'll build the WordPress site for them, completely optimize their site and everything. Then I'll make a clone of it and install that on one of my own servers or one of my own hosting accounts on my own domain, and then just do a strictly page-by-page, one-to-one ratio redirect. And then I'll build links to my domain instead. And so when the client parts, if they decide that they don't need me later down the road, I remove those 301 redirects, make some changes to the pages so that it's not, you know, an exact duplicate of their site, but all the link building that I had been doing to my domain remains. It doesn't mean that their site's going to fall out of the index, guys. It doesn't happen like that, because if you were providing proper services to them, like content marketing and citation building and doing press releases and things like that, you still will have built up the SEO on their own domain. But all of the additional link building stuff that you do will be running through your own domain. So when you remove the redirects, you are in a good position to rank with little work, with a lot less work than it took to initially rank the client site, because you already have built-in SEO and backlinks into the domain that you had been redirecting, if that makes sense. It's not like if you remove the redirect, the client site falls out of the index and yours appears magically where they did. It doesn't happen like that. But it still puts you in a much better position where you have a lot less work to do. Does that make sense? All right, question 2. Can I get away with a product or brand page for Facebook page, or must I get an address and use the local business option for the Facebook page? No, I don't. I think I've probably only actually set up 2 local business Facebook pages before. Everything else I just use the product or brand page. So I don't, guys, I'm not a huge Facebook guy. Like, I don't do a whole lot of stuff on Facebook, so I'm not sure. Maybe one of the other guys, like Hernan, can comment on this. I'm not sure how powerful the local business pages are as for SEO. They might be. I just don't have a lot of experience with them.
Well, the problem with Facebook is that it doesn't. First off, it's not clear about. Let's talk about ranking in Facebook itself, because it has its own search engine, and it's not really clear about what are the rules of the game. You know, when it comes to ranking in Facebook. Now, in terms of ranking in Google, you can. It's definitely a good parasite as long as your page is public, because otherwise, if there's any kind of issues when crawling that page, for example, for like private groups and those kind of things, Facebook gets kind of jealous when sharing with Google a lot of info. You know, so I understand that Google cannot crawl like 95% of Facebook. You know, maybe even more. So I think that it's a good parasite. You should probably check on SEMrush, because that will give you an idea of how many pages are ranking from Facebook or local pages or general pages from Facebook on Google. That will give you an idea of the potential that can be a parasite, but I hardly doubt that those local details will work the same as with, you know, Google My Business, like validating or becoming a real citation when it comes to a local business. You know what I mean? So you can rank it, but I don't think they will add up to your data, because again, Facebook is kind of jealous when sharing information with Google. So that would be my intake on it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I typically just set up a brand page. And that's it. I mean, and that's it. I don't usually do the local page, so I just don't know how much of a benefit that would have. I'd have to do some more testing on that. So, but like I said, I just typically just set up a brand page and run with it. It's just easier to set up, and that's all I usually ever do. All right, Brian says, when doing local citations, do you use a VA, outsource to someone like Fiverr, Source Market, or do you use yext or a company like them to handle citations? I use two services, Brian. The same two services I've been using for a long time now, and that's Marketer Center. We have a link for that somewhere, and then also Loganix. Loganix is expensive, but they're really, really good, especially if you're in the U.S. I can't speak for them outside of the U.S. We've had some mastermind members that said that they weren't, the results weren't as good as what I had described for the U.S. market from Loganix, but like whenever I usually use Marketer Center unless I've got like a citation cleanup job to do, or if I'm doing the ongoing monthly service, which is a great service from Loganix, by the way. They have an ongoing citation building service. It's $150 a month, but they build like 30 citations per month, and it's like, I don't have the exact figures off the top of my head, but it's something like 20 like actual business directory citations, and then it's 10 multimedia citations per month. So it might be image directories or video links or audio links or whatever every month, and then they do tiered link building to that. So they build links to the citations that they build, and that's only $150 a month. So I actually outsource a lot of my citation building now to Loganix just because it's so much easier. Right, it's so much easier just to send them the job and let them do it, and it gets done. But Marketer Center is great because Marketer Center is a lot. It's Andrew Scherer is his name, the guy that runs that, and he's a good dude, and he's set up his whole entire service to be a white label service, and so the pricing is really, really good in Marketer Center, and you can white label the reports, and they generate the reports for you and everything. And so it's a really good service. If you're on an economy scale, I would definitely recommend going with Marketer Center. If you've got a bigger budget and you want higher quality work, not that Marketer Center is bad work. I'm just saying, like, it's a difference between driving like, I don't know, a Honda Accord and driving a Cadillac, right? The Cadillac is Loganix, the Honda Accord is Marketer Center, if that makes sense. It's good. They're both really good services, so it really just depends on your budget. Okay. I never recommend using Fiverr for citation building, guys. Just don't do it. Come on, spend a little bit more money, get some better services. Hiring your own virtual assistant is okay, but you got to train them properly, because remember, even a punctuation being out of place in a citation cause data inconsistency. And that can wreak havoc on your NAP and your ranking ability. So you don't want to do that. I mean, I really don't like to use VAs for creating citations. The only time I like to use VAs for citation work is when they're cleaning up a bad or messy citation situation. But even then, now I just outsource that to Loganix. It's a $500 service, but they do an outstanding job of cleaning up, do a citation cleanup. They do a great job of it. Clark's next. He says, last week you talked about a webinar that you were going to do about your experience using Video Marketing Blitz. I purchased VMB from your webinar, and I am current IFTTT 2.0 member, so the subject would be of great interest. Was that open to the public, or was it only for one of your groups? Clark, we mailed out the invitation to the webinar to everybody that purchased. I'm sure we sent more than just one email, but the webinar did occur, and yes, you have access to it. You just need to, I guess, reach out to us via support, and we'll make sure you get access to it. support@semanticmastery.com. Just let us know that you purchased VMB. Provide us with proof of purchase. We'll send you the link. If you're in the mastermind, you can see it regardless of whether you purchased or not. If you weren't in the mastermind and you want to see it, just send us proof of purchase and we'll send you the link. We're going to do a follow-up webinar on that in about 5 or 6 weeks, because I want to show, like, we got a virtual assistant now in place that's going to be running that software like full-time, and so we're going to really scale the campaigns up that we talked about in the first webinar for this. And we're going to do a follow-up webinar in a few weeks so you guys can see what we can do with Video Marketing Blitz when we've got somebody working the software full-time. Because, again, guys, I don't recommend you guys do any of this stuff yourselves, man. Outsource it if you can. And so that's what I want to do, is show you guys the potential of this software when you got people doing the work for you. So the follow-up webinar will come out. Anybody that purchased will get notification on that ahead of time as well. Earl says, do you use an indexing service to post the second-tier Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress posts for every new post you or your virtual assistants make? If so, is there an easy way of capturing those post links to stuff into an indexing service, or have you harvesting, or do you assign harvesting them to your VAs as you go? Earl, we used to have an automated way to do that. Unfortunately, it was the Backlink Commando plugin, and it integrated with Backlink's indexer, and it was a 100% automated way to actually extract all your Web2 post URLs and submit them to an indexing service without you having to do a damn thing other than set the plugin up. But unfortunately, Sean Donahoe decided to stop selling that plugin and even supporting it for that matter. So unfortunately, we do not have a way. I talked to Chris, our partner. We mentioned this before. I don't remember what, Chris, if you're on, maybe you can comment. I know I mentioned to you something about us building a service that would integrate with Dan Anton's or Backlink's Indexer's API. What did we decide on that? Maybe Chris isn't paying attention.
Playing hard to get. All right,
Yeah.
I see.
I couldn't remember what the conversation. I know we talked about it. I just don't remember. I think it was just we got too many projects to work on that right now. But it is something that we would like, unless somebody else beats us to market with it, which is fine. I don't care. I just want a solution, Earl, just like you're asking. Right now, I'm not doing anything for that because the plugin doesn't work anymore. So unfortunately, there's nothing you can do other than have your virtual assistants. If they're creating the post, like for example, my content curators, when they post the post, they can actually go extract. I'm not even having them doing it right now because all of my clients are well-established existing clients, so it's not so necessary anymore. I've got my clients to where they need to be, so it's just a matter of maintaining their rankings. But if you're starting a new project, yeah, it would probably be. Unfortunately, I don't know of an automated way to do this anymore. So I would say a virtual assistant would be a good way to do that. Would be to just extract all your post URLs from the IFTTT network and submit them, once per week or whatever to an indexing service. Or at least when they create a new post, they could, like for example, let's say you've got a virtual assistant curating posts for you once per week. So let's say they did a post last week, and then now it's this week, and they're going to start. They're going to sit. They're about to publish another post. They could go extract all the post links from last week and submit them to an indexing service this week, and just keep doing that. That'd be a good and efficient way to handle that. At least as efficient as we can make it right now without an automated way. So I don't know, guys. Eventually, we might have a solution. To me, I think the plug. I'm not a developer, so I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But it seems to me like it would be fairly simple to create a plugin that's all it does is scrape the RSS feeds from a particular. Like if we posted in all the RSS feeds from our Web2 network, the IFTTT network. I think there's like 7 or 8 properties that give us an RSS feed as an output. And if we just posted those into a plugin, it would just extract the most recent items in the RSS feeds and then submit them via API to an indexing service. I can't imagine that being too difficult, but I don't know. All right, Glenn's up. He says, since today's Hangout reminder email spoke of quality content, what's you guys take on the rapid article generators like Article Forge, Articoolo? I've not heard of that one. Content Professor, Article Builder, etc. I can't stand article writing, outsourcing. I feel like I have to write an in-depth article telling the writer what I want written to get anything usable back. Glenn, I totally understand. That's what Content Kingpin is all about. It launches next Tuesday, so in 6 days. It's specifically how all of my virtual assistants, how I run my content marketing business. Those article creators are okay for link building, but never tier 1 link building, guys. They should only be for tier 2 link building or beyond. Those automatic article generators, because the quality of those articles is pretty poor. Go ahead, turn on.
No, I mean, and even if they are readable, for example, Article Builder, they are super overused, so they will not pass Copyscape in a million years,
Yep.
So Article Forge, Article Foundry, SE Content Machine, I've tested them all, and as Bradley was saying, there's little to, well, I would say nothing beats content curation in the way that it's presented on Content Kingpin. Plus, it's going to be dirt cheap on the launch, So, I mean, it's an investment on your business, and you can get a completely untrained VA on one end. If that's your problem, Glenn, you can train a VA using Content Kingpin alone,
Yep.
So you can plug a VA that's completely untrained on one end, and you will get a curator on the other end, because that's the main idea of the program. So that will pretty much solve your entire content needs, like forever.
Yeah, and here's the thing with and I talk about this at length inside Content Kingpin, guys. I'll give you a little preview of it right now. What I did was I taught virtual assistants. I learned how to curate on my own first, but then I obviously I was unable to scale past a certain point, so I had to start teaching virtual assistants to do it. So I've got two types of curators, and curating is so much better than buying shitty content from an article farm, from a content farm, guys, because those first of all, those writers aren't content subject matter experts. Trust me, they're not. And what all they do is go scrape articles from the web and then spin them and then go through and sometimes if you get a good content farm writer, which is rare, but if you do get a good content farm writer, they'll put it through a spinning software and then they'll go through and edit the spintax to make it more readable. But even that, you're lucky if you find that. So those articles are all trash. They're garbage. They're worthless, in my opinion. You're so much better having or curating content where you go find high authorities, subject matter experts on the topic in which you need to write about, and gather some content, collect some content, organize it in a logical way, and then republish parts of it, snippets of it, to reinforce your overall idea for your blog post. Your whatever idea you're trying to convey, you use other people's content to basically reinforce what it is that you're trying to say, and you just inject your own commentary or your own opinion in between the curated pieces of content. And I've got curators that do curating for PBNs. They're Philippines VAs, so I basically pay them about $4.50 per hour to curate, but they can curate 3 posts per hour. So that comes out to be about $1.50 per curated post. It's much higher quality than or content farm articles, number one. Number two, I get it for cheaper. And number three, the articles are, the curated posts are quality content from authority sources that know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to that subject, right? Then I have money site curators. I've got one in England, one in Africa, and one in America. So I've got 3 money site curators that publish posts for like my client blogs and things, my client sites and things like that, because they're native English speakers. And I pay them, my UK writer, I pay her $30 per hour, but she'll publish 2 posts in an hour. So that's like I pay $15 per curated post. So that's not a problem. Then I've got a curator in Africa, Esther. She's fantastic, and I pay her between $8 to $12 per curated post. But I charge the client anywhere between $20 to $35 per post. It just depends on the client. So I mean, there's a lot of money that can be made from content marketing, and that's what the whole entire course of Content Kingpin's about. And that'll answer all your questions, Glenn. It's launching next Tuesday for $47. You'd be crazy if you didn't pick it up. There's Nate saying hi, everybody. I knew he'd find it somewhere. Ganty, what's up, Ganty? He says, "Don't PM me." That's funny. Paul says, "Hey guys, my question is about how to get the best results from the RYS service. I have a client that I want to rank in the maps pack. He's already on the first page of Google with his website, but not ranking in the maps pack. I'm going to do press release. Is my question? Should I do the PR first and then do the RYS service, or should I do the RYS service first and then the PR? My objective is to get him ranked in the maps pack. As always, guys, keep up the good work." That actually, there's probably going to be some differing opinions on this. I haven't tested one first over the other. What the method, and Marco could comment on this too, but the method I would probably go with would be to do the PR first, because you're going to get a bunch of citations if you use if you add the business NAP. If you add the NAP to the press release, you're going to get a bunch of citations from that. And then what you can do also, the reason I would do that first is because you get the citations, but then you can also take the original press release, the one where it was distributed from, whichever service it is that you're using to distribute the press releases, that wherever that's published first, you can take that and make that a PDF and put that inside your drive stack, right? So when you have the RYS stack or the drive stack created, then you could also have your press release as a PDF inside there, which would just help, especially if you start building links to your drive stack, which is what we recommend you do anyways. Marco, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
What's your opinion?
Well, let me do this in a couple of steps, because we need to get this out anyway. Because a lot of people have been asking about what's included in RYS, right? in our done for you RYS, because I think that's what Paul is going to get from us. He's going to get DFI RYS. What you get is exactly what we teach people to build inside the course. You get every file and folder, and everything is optimized. Everything is optimized to carry relevancy wherever it is that you want to push it. I mean, we do docs, we do PDFs, we do drawings, we do. You can look at Drive and see what it is. You'll get, and especially the one thing that you'll get is a My Map. What happens with that My Map is that we connect it to your Google verified listing, the map that comes with it. Now, so the first thing that needs to be done is that business needs to be verified. For this to have full effect on that map pack, which is what he's been looking for, or what he's going to be doing, is he needs that verified business. He needs to create that entity. Then he'll turn over that NAP information. He'll turn it over to our RYSVA, and the guy Jessen he just rocks. He's just so good at building everything, at carrying relevancy, at connecting the My Map to the verified listing map, which all pushes relevancy over to the website, but it also hits that verified map up and sticks it in the 3-pack. Now, you have the press release, and you could perfectly just, once that RYS is built and connected, you could send that press release to the RYS folder, right? That drive stack that we've created for more relevancy, which is going to push it up to the verified map, over to the website. From the website, since you're going to have an embedded map on the website, it's going to carry it back to the verified listing, back into the RYS folder, and you're just going to create all kinds of crazy love going through and shooting everywhere, right? The spider web silo that we talk about.
Well, nobody has to buy RYS now. You just spilled all the beans.
I mean, no, I'm just saying, I'm just giving them an overview of what it is. They're welcome to go and try to figure out how it is that we build everything. Good luck.
Actually, that's a good idea, though. Like, and see, I mentioned doing the PR first, but that's actually a good idea to have that My Maps done first, because then you could even, in most PRs, guys, you can get away with about 3 links in a press release. You know, if you got about 400 or 500 words of content. And so, actually, that would be a good idea to use the press release to link to the My Maps URL, because then you'd be pushing like 250, 300 media type style links to that My Maps URL, which has do follow links in the description area that you can, and it helps to verify or validate the entity, like Marco just said. So that would actually be a pretty good way to go about it.
Now, on the other hand, if what you want to do is push relevancy to the press release, then you would wait to do the press release and push relevancy from our drive stack over to whatever press release it is that you're trying to do. Because we do, when you go into the order form, there's a field in there that says, which URL do you want to push relevancy to? I mean, it's clear, right? And we ask for the NAP, right? Name, address, and phone number, that you want all of this. And you need, as you said before, it needs to be exactly the same way that it is on your map and in the citations. It can't vary, because we're going to push that all of that NAP relevancy up. It just goes. It's a, and Becker came up with this. It's a slipstream, right? That's what he called it. I think he's the one that coined the phrase slipstream. It just carries all of this juice over and back, and it's just all that love is what sticks that map #1 in the 3-pack.
All right, we're going to stop at Nate's last comment here, guys. We got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to get through these next couple questions. We'll probably stop at Nate. John says, "Hey guys, thanks again for doing these hangouts. You're awesome." I'll +1 that. Have built RSS Tier 1, Tier 2 networks for several clients and want to find a way to make use of the last 6 months of PRE-IFTTT posts, just the old content. Is there a specific module or method or module talking about how to trigger RSS Tier 1, Tier 2 from Money Site to the new networks using your SM plugin with its spintax? Don't want to create a dupe post on the same blog with new dates and annoy the Facebook and G+ fans a second time with last month's post, but want to push its network. Thanks in advance. Well, first of all, John, I pretty much can guarantee you're not going to annoy Facebook and G+ followers or fans. because you have to think about every time you post, like let's use Facebook. First of all, Google Plus, there's not a whole lot of people active on Google Plus outside of the marketing industry. Okay, so you can pretty much write that off. But Facebook, yeah, there's a ton of people that are active on Facebook, right? I mean, pretty much daily, everybody's plugged into Facebook. But the thing is Facebook only shows your post, anything published to your pages, to a very, very, very small fraction of the audience. Like, I mean, we're talking like 3 to 5% of your audience if you're lucky. And so I guarantee you that if you published a post and it's syndicated out to your network and into your Facebook page, then a month later you do it again, chances are nobody that saw it the month before is going to see it again the second month, or it's going to be new people seeing it the second month that didn't see it, or even if they did, it's going to be a very, very small fraction of people. And I doubt that it will annoy them. You can recycle old content, guys. There's no reason to have to always create new content. You can republish old content to Facebook and Google Plus and get new eyeballs to it every time you do it. Okay, so that's number one. I wouldn't worry about annoying people. Number two, our premium version does have a republish old post function, but the free version that comes with like IFTTT, SEO Academy stuff does not. However, there's a plugin that you can use. It's called Republish Old Posts. Just go search Google for Republish Old Posts WordPress WP plugin or WordPress plugin. It'll be the first link that comes up. Install that. Go through the settings. I'm not going to teach you how to set it up because there's help files inside of there that will tell you how to set up the plugin. But it will republish old posts through your and trigger the RSS resyndication. Okay, so that's how you can do that. If you want to republish old posts, that's a good way to do it. You just use that plugin. And again, don't worry about republishing, recycling content to Facebook or Google Plus, guys. Nobody's going to see it again. If they do, it's going to be a small fraction. And if they're annoyed with that, then let them unfollow you. Unfollow you. Good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. You know what I mean? Greg says Joe owns company. This is the follow-up. I know Adam's going to get mad at me, so I'm going to try to hurry. Joe owns company and he has 2 profiles. This is a follow-up to the question I asked him to clarify. Okay, so he has a company and has 2 profiles. If the company has its own tier 1, can Joe be on tier 2 as the owner profile? And even better, can his staff or contractors be on tier 2 as well? Well, you could, Greg, but personally I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. You can, yes, sure, you can do that. I wouldn't recommend it. The reason I don't recommend it is because there's a clear connection between the owner and the business, right? Or the contractors and the business. I mean, there's probably a connection to them, and so if you end up syndicating content across all those networks where there's a clear connection between those profiles and the actual business, then remember, guys, when you're syndicating blog content, you got to be careful because Google's looking for footprint issues. Syndicating your content to your own branded network is not a footprint issue because you're claiming your footprint. You're doing what the big brands do. You're sharing your content to your branded properties. But when you go out to tier 2 networks, you're using profiles and personas, even if they're real profiles like what you're mentioning here, you're doing it to manipulate search engine results. And that's against Google's terms of service. So I would, if I was using tier 2 networks for blog syndication, I would want the personas to be 100% removed and separate from the actual business itself so that I could minimize or reduce my footprint even more. So, Greg, I understand where you're going with that, and I mean it's a logical assumption to make that might be more effective, but in my opinion, you're asking for trouble if you do that. You're better off just using personas. Okay. All right. Last thing, Nate says to clarify, and this is why I wanted to finish on this one, guys. He was asking about poking, and if somebody ever used that video, if keyword had been poked and it showed up on page 1, and he says to clarify, what if the client uses the same keyword I poked and put up their own videos? Does that ever happen? Nate, I've been providing SEO services for clients for 4 years. I've been doing SEO for about almost 7 years now, 6 years, at least 6 years, and I have never once ever had a client come in behind me and try to rank their own videos after I've ranked something for them. Never once. Not saying it won't ever happen ever in the world. I'm not saying that, but it's very, very rare. Don't worry about it. Besides that, if a client was to come rank a video, you're the one that's taking all this SEO training. You'll spank the hell out of them. If it comes to a competition between you and the client who's going to do better SEO, you'll win. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. Okay, guys, masterclass starts in about 5 minutes for everybody that is going to be on that. Otherwise, we'll see everyone else next week for next Hump Day Hangouts. Episode 95 next week.
Woo! See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.